We're gonna go ahead and get us a little fire going here. Got my shavings, my fat wood that I just harvested. I'm gonna put it on that rock right there. And here's one of those chunks of fat wood that I had, and I went ahead and cut it up into some pieces. So that way I'll get that burning. And then I should end up with a pretty nice little fire. Okay, there we go. Let's get some of this on there. Bigger pieces will make a great starter. I'm going to go ahead and build a little wall right here, and then I'll lay this across the fire. I don't want to put that fire out, but I want to make sure this starts drying because it is a little damp. But with that black smoke coming up, that means that fat wood's burning. You can see right here where it's actually going down those sticks I put on there. So that should help dry out that wood. I was thinking it was drier than it was when I started cutting it, but it actually was kind of wet on the inside a little bit, but not as wet as the outside. So you can, if I pulled out the fat wood, it might have an issue. It probably would go out, but like I said, you put on some bigger chunks of fat wood like that, and that's going to create that heat to help dry that out. And you want to get that base heat ash built up, and then that's what really helps dry out the wood. I usually start with a little bit smaller pieces, but if I'm starting a normal campfire, but since I'm starting with big chunks of fat wood, as you can see, that wood's still having a heck of a time catching on fire. Because when I first chopped it open, I was thinking, man, that looked kind of dry, or looked drier inside, but after it sat a little bit, the moisture started coming out of it, and then I'm like, oh, I guess it isn't as dry as I thought it was. So what I'll do is also set some bigger pieces around the outside of the fire pit right here, so when the flame starts getting up, it'll start drying that wood also. So let's put these bigger pieces out here, because yeah, they're really wet. You can see the gooey stuff coming off on my fingers. That was between the bark and the wood. I cut these pieces a little bit bigger. So like I said, I'll go ahead and stack these around like this, so the heat coming off that'll start drying this stuff out. You can see that wood is barely burning. I mean, it's starting to turn black and stuff and starting to crackle a little bit. But if I took away that fat wood, it would probably most definitely go out. That's the nice thing about finding a big chunk of fat wood like that. And in an area like this, there's so much fat wood, I can put on a lot more. Like I said, I got more. I 3 or 4 more pieces like this, let alone all those bigger pieces I have. If I need more, I can always split that up, but just put another piece of fat wood in there. What you want to do is build a teepee or a pyramid over it. So what it does is holds the heat underneath of it, and that'll help dry out that wood a lot faster. And it'll get that thing up and a-going. Yeah, if that wood was dry, there'd be a lot bigger flame by now, but it's that fat wood, a big chunk right there, and then this one, and then another one down there that's pretty much blowing the flame up through it. But once I start getting a base flame, then it'll start really starting to dry this other stuff out that I got stacked around here. Then I can start drying off my shoes. Lots of black smoke coming up off of that. But that's one of the things you have to do to get wet wood burning. Like I said, I've made a video before and I was talking about, you know, starting wet wood on fire on one of my videos. And so many YouTube channels make it sound like you can put a little bit of tinder underneath there, or you put one of those little fire starters and it's going to get wet wood burning. Oh, you use a magnesium fire starter, it's going to get wet wood burning. Look at this. The wet wood is only turning black and slowly burning only because I've got fat wood underneath of it still burning. The wood would not be burning on its own. So you're not going to use a magnesium fire starter and start wet wood. You're going to need something that's going to have to burn a lot longer. And around here, like with this rainstorm we've had the last couple days, you're not going to find any dry pine needles or nothing. All the wood that's cut down, that's laying down, is soaked. So I'm going to have to keep putting fat wood on that thing until I get it going. So as you see right there, it's just fat wood. The actual wood isn't even really starting to burn. It's turning black, but it's not really starting to flame up. So I'm going to go ahead and cut me some smaller pieces like that, because that's going to be the quickest to get to dry out, is the small stuff. And you got to really keep on a fire like this to keep it going. See, it's already starting to go up. It would go out if I didn't have any more fat wood. Okay, I put those other pieces of fat wood on that you just seen, and now I'm putting some bigger pieces of wood around it to make more of a chimney funnel. And it's, you can see that smoke. It's the fat wood burning, but I'm hoping there's enough fat wood in there now to get these chunks of wood that I'm putting on there burning. So I'm building the chimney so it's going to create and hold more heat. So trying not to knock it over. All that crazy popping is all the fat wood in there. So we'll see how well this works. Ain't no survival situation, so I'm not, I mean, I could drive home if I felt like driving home. It's so wet up here. I didn't bring my waterproof boots I got. It's actually soaked through them. So my feet are soaking wet. If I can't get a fire going to dry my shoes off. I'm about an hour from home, so I'm getting that wood turning black, but I already had tried this already, and it already went out once, so I had to put more shavings in there and more fat wood to try it again. So, like I said, in a survival situation, it's almost impossible to get wet wood to burn unless you got a lot of fire starter. That means a lot of fat wood or a magnesium fire starter. It's like you watch these YouTube videos. Use magnesium fire starter. Oh, it creates so much heat. You can light fat or wet wood. No, you can't. If I got that much fat wood underneath there, and that wood is having a heck of a time even trying to burn, because the flame's going to start going down pretty soon as that fat wood, that popping, that's the fat wood burning. See, as the wood falls over, it stops. Because all the flame's coming up from the bottom. Even with that much fire on that wood, look at this. That's it. It's not catching it on fire because it's extremely wet. So don't let those people fool you with those YouTube channels that are sitting there saying you could use these little tiny fire starters and all this other stuff to get a fire started. If you don't have a large quantity of tinder, when it comes to wet wood, you're not getting it to light. I mean, you can try. There's always that miracle, but look at this. I thought this wood was dry when I chopped those things. Look at this. This looks dry. But that is actually got a lot of wetness to it. You can see it just does not want to burn. So it's a good thing I found that fat wood. And one of the things you want is, you might need a lot of fat wood, and as long as you're getting that, see now I'm getting a lot of coals in the bottom, those really hot coals. And now if you can keep that tint going over the top of it with your wood, then that hot coals will keep creating heat, and then hopefully you can get a fire going. But that stuff, see, as it falls over, it just wants to go out. Sad thing is, when I'm chopping the wood, it even sounds dry. That's where it can fool you. I mean, listen to that. It sounds dry, but the minute you chop it, it feels dry. But you let it sit for, 2 minutes, and then all of a sudden it feels wet. And see, now it's starting to feel wet on the outside. And this is that piece I just took over there that I just showed you. It looked dry, but it's wet. See, this is already trying to go out. Whew, smoking myself out. I'm trying to be real on my YouTube channel. See, this is all out over here. And that wood looks dry. It should be a big old flame. But you've seen how when I got that fat wood at the beginning, how hard it is to start a fire. Well, I might make this into 2 videos, but how hard it is to start a fire even with fat wood, and lots of fat wood, when you got wet wood. Now I'm going to go ahead and blow down here a little bit because there's a lot of heat coming down there because I've burned enough fat wood and it's got enough of that wood charcoal that it's really hot right now. So if you let it keep, if you keep putting stuff around it and build that teepee, it's going to hold that heat in there. And then maybe, just maybe, you'll get it to dry out and it'll flicker back up without having to put more fat wood. But like I said, that's the second time I put fat wood on it. There we go. That doesn't mean it's going to start running or keep going though. Hopefully this video, or this, if it stops and video just ends as you're watching it. That's because I ran out of battery. Sorry if I did. But now I'm starting to get some heat off of that thing because I'm starting to get a base. That is the main thing. You gotta have enough fat wood or fire starter to get the base hot. And now it's hot clear out here. And now it's going to start drying off my pieces out here that are right next to it because they're starting to get warm. So it's going to help get that starting to dry. And now I got that hot base, and I might have to keep blowing on it like that to get it to keep flaring up. Because once the flame goes down, it's going to stop creating more ash and more heat. So you want to keep blowing on it and keep it going. Now I wish I would have brought that extending blow tube I got. I use that and sit from the side and blow directly in there. Those work really good. I got lots of red burning charcoal in there, so. But I've been working on this for a half hour. Let me go get the fat one and show you how much I've gone through already. I've probably used somewhere around, these are probably 20 inches long, and I've probably used about this many here, probably 4 of them. And just to get what I got here. And to harvest that fat wood, it wasn't easy. I mean, trying to get it with a knife, if it's cold and wet, that's going to be really hard to get that fat wood. But I have found chunks of fat wood on some of those those stumps that I've kicked open, just kicked, and they've shattered open, and the only thing left is a core of fat wood. And you can scrape right off of that and start your fire with a little hatchet or your knife, and use that and the magic ferro rod.